everyone, and welcome back. If you haven't had a chance to tune into our previous lessons, I strongly suggest that you go back and do so. If this is the first time that you're tuning into these lessons, my name is Lauren. I work for a group in Lancaster, Pennsylvania called Compass Mark. We provide a program to schools in the area called Leaders of Future Generations, which is where these lessons are coming from. So we thought that we would bring them to you at home since we are all still stuck in our homes here. Okay, so today's lesson is on goals. So we're gonna talk about goals, but first we're gonna do our quote of the day. Today's quote is unknown. So I don't know where this came from, but I found it online and I liked it. This quote says, "A river cuts through a rock, not because of its power, but its persistence." Okay, so what is a goal? A goal is something that you want to accomplish. We set out and accomplish goals all the time, many goals in our lives. When we talk about goals, we usually think about big goals, like going to college or getting a job or buying a house. And those goals are super, super important. But the truth is we set goals every day, all the time, and sometimes we don't even realize it. So there are two different types of goals that we're going to be talking about today. The first is called a short-term goal. A short-term goal is something that you can accomplish within the next year. So you may have school goals that you want to accomplish. You may also play a sport or an instrument. Maybe you have a craft or some kind of art that you enjoy doing. Regardless of your goal, if it's considered a short-term goal if it's something that you could do within the next year. A long-term goal is something that would take you more than a year to complete. So this may be one of those bigger life goals like getting married or buying a car, or it could be something like next year I want to get all A's, or I want to join the basketball team next year. Regardless, it's something that takes at least a year for you to complete. So as an example, a short-term goal could be something like I want to learn how to bake a cake. I could do that right now if I really wanted to, right? Nothing's stopping me. But if I wanted to design and build my own house, that's going to take more than a year. So I have to acknowledge that that is a long-term goal. When we are setting goals in life, whether it is short or long, it has to adhere to 4 characteristics to make it a really good goal. And the first one is personal. This is really important. It has to be something that matters to you. So, for example, let's say a friend of mine really wants me to try out for the cheerleading squad. And I've never really cared much about being a cheerleader, but I figure she's too scared to do it without me, so I guess I'll be a good friend and I'll try out with her. Now let's say I make the squad. Do you think I'm going to care as much about being on time to practices or trying my hardest or really getting that other move, perfected or anything? Probably not. And it's not that I am a bad person or anything. And I might even really like cheerleading. But the truth is it wasn't my goal to begin with. So I'm not going to feel as much of a sense of accomplishment or determination with it as I would if it was something that I really set out for myself to do. So your goals have to be personal. It has to be something that actually matters to you. The next thing is that your goal has to be possible. Okay, so we can absolutely shoot for the stars and you really could accomplish anything that you put your mind to. But our goals have to make sense. We have to know that we have the time and the resources to complete the goal. If you set really unrealistic goals for yourself that you could never possibly reach, you're just cheating yourself out of accomplishing something. And you're going to feel like you failed, but the truth is that you gave yourself kind of a crazy goal to begin with. So, for example, let's say I decided that I want to learn a foreign language fluently within the next 2 days. Is that going to happen? No way. It takes a really long time to actually learn a language well enough to speak it fluently. So giving myself a goal like that is impossible. Even if I work really, really hard and, spend all my time studying that language, I'm still not going to accomplish that. So I didn't give myself the time that I needed to actually do it. Or if I wanted to learn how to play a piano, but I don't have a piano and I have no way of getting to a piano, then that's kind of an impossible goal. Maybe my first goal should be to get a piano or to find somewhere where I could take lessons. Okay, so I have to be able to set a goal for myself that I have the resources to do now and then move on from there. Okay? The third thing about your goal that you want it to be is you want it to be positive. This refers to how we say our goals, which actually has a really big impact on us achieving them. So when you state your goal, you want to state it as a good habit or a good thing that you're looking to do, not as something that you're trying to change or a bad habit that you need to correct. Sorry, I have animals all over the place today. So, for example, let's say my goal was to eat healthier. I wouldn't want to tell myself that I'm going to stop eating junk food. Even though that's a good thing to do, I'm telling myself already that I'm doing something wrong and I need to change it. So I'm kind of like condemning myself for doing something wrong. Instead, I should be commending myself for doing something right. I'm gonna let my dog out of this room real quick because he's begging to go. Okay. So when I state my goal to myself, I want to say it as a positive, some kind of positive change that I'm going to be making. So instead, I will eat healthy foods, or I will eat at least 2 vegetables a day. Something where I can say it in a positive way instead of putting myself down for doing something wrong. Okay? The last thing that you want to make sure your goal is specific. And you want to give yourself a set time to accomplish your goal. Is a really easy way to make it specific. Your goal has to be measurable. Let's say I wanted to get in shape. I have no idea what that means. Does that mean that I can run a mile in so much time or that I can bench press so much weight? I don't know. If I just say get in shape, I'll never know when that actually happens, okay? If I want to get better grades, I don't know what that means either. Does that mean that my 1C goes up to a B? Does that mean that I get all A's? Does that mean that I have a 4.0 GPA? Or what does it mean, right? So I want to try to be specific with the goal that I'm trying to reach. And that way I'll know that I reached it. So set a goal that is specific so that you can see that finish line, you can work to get there, and when you got there, you know that you arrived, okay? So when it comes to setting your goals, the first thing that you want to do is to name it, to actually identify it. Then you want to tell yourself that you are capable of doing it, because you are, okay? So don't fill your head with that negative self-talk of like, maybe I'll get there. I don't know. I'll see. Yeah, if this doesn't happen, I guess I could get there. Don't blame it on something else. Tell yourself, I can do this. I will accomplish this. And I'm going to feel great when I do, okay? You want to raise your self-confidence and believe in yourself so that you can accomplish your goals, because you can. Then you want to plan out how you're going to do it. Okay, so let's think of one of the goals I mentioned. Learning to play the piano. Okay, so like what's my first step? I need a piano, or I need access to a piano. So I could ask someone I know who has one. I could try to buy a keyboard or something, like a smaller version of it. I could find lessons online, but I need to come up with a list of things that I need to be able to accomplish this, and a step-by-step process. So what's my first step? How do I know that I accomplished it? What's my next step? And move on from there. Okay, so you want to do all this to make sure that you can get to your goal. And naming it is actually really important. When you can actually identify what the goal is for yourself, you're more likely to achieve it. Once you achieve your goal, you're not done. There's one more step. You have to celebrate. Yeah, go celebrate. You deserve it. Why do you think that it's important to celebrate and reward yourself? Because it reminds you of how hard you worked, that you accomplished something that you set out to do, and that you deserve to celebrate. And it's going to help you want to continue to set and achieve goals. So setting goals is a really important part of life. If you want to be someone who just drifts through life, kind of letting stuff happen to you, not really seeing a direction or a path, just like, whichever way the wind blows, it's fine. It's not really fine. And you're probably going to end up somewhere that you didn't want to end up, right? Because you never really set a goal for yourself. So instead, deciding what you want to do, or at least the person that you want to be, and setting goals in that direction, you'll find much more success in life. Even little goals that might not seem like a big deal can be, and they can be a really good practice for setting and achieving new goals, such as playing a video game. I don't know about you, but when I finish a video game, I go back, if I really liked it, and I might change it to like a harder level, or I might set a goal for myself that isn't even part of the game. Like I'm gonna finish this part in so much time, or I'm going to get it with this many points, or what, hi cat, or whatever your video game is and whatever the rules are. But the reason I go back and do that is because I felt a sense of accomplishment and I wanted to challenge myself further. And when you challenge yourself further, it helps you want to continue to set and reach new goals. So just because you reach the finish line doesn't mean that you're done. It means now you have new opportunity for new goals to set. Okay, or running a mile or baking a cake or any kind of goal that you might think is like just small and not a big deal, it actually is. And it helps instill that value in you that setting goals is important. Okay, so as a leader, sometimes it's actually your job or your responsibility to set the goals for your group, to show what the objectives are. What are we trying to accomplish here? So it's important that you set goals that are personal to your group, possible for them to reach, positively said, and specific so that your group knows when they achieved it. And if you lead the group without a direction or a goal in mind, you might actually lose followers because they won't want to follow someone who's aimless. Or they won't want to follow a group that really has no objective or end in sight because we don't know what we're reaching for. So having a direction and determination is going to make you a much more successful and influential leader. So let's take a look back at that quote from today. A river cuts through a rock, not because of its power, but its persistence. So what I think this quote is trying to tell us, if you've ever seen rocks and how they get shaped by the river, okay, it's not because one big wave or, I don't know what that's called, but when the water really quickly hits against the coast, shaped the rock, it's not because of that. It's because of the continuous pressure that the river gives the rocks. And after a while, the rocks might get cut through, or they might be shaped differently, or they might get pushed to the side because the river was persistent. So if you start out for a goal and you fail, does that mean that you should just stop? Of course not. Everybody fails. It's part of being human. What makes your goal successful is when you pick yourself back up, you use your resiliency skills, and you try again, and you keep going. Or maybe you get creative and you think about a different angle to accomplish this goal. But whatever it is, you're persistent and you keep working at it. So here are your discussion questions for today. What is a goal you have for yourself? So right now, what is something that you look into the future that you want to accomplish? Number 2, what will you need to achieve it? And number 3, how will you celebrate once you've achieved it? So what are you going to do to celebrate? You're going to buy yourself that favorite ice cream, or make your favorite meal for dinner. Everything is food. Or watch your favorite movie, or do something that shows that you really appreciate the work that you put into it. So for your at-home activity today, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to brainstorm a short-term goal for yourself. So keep in mind, this is something that you could accomplish within the next year. So it might be something that you're going to do today, tomorrow, next week, next month, a couple months from now, but something that you could do within a year. Then I want you to draw a picture of yourself achieving it. Sometimes just picturing ourselves achieving our goals can help inspire us to work harder to achieve it. Okay, I like to picture like auditioning for a play, and you picture yourself standing on that stage and the lights are shining down on you and your family and friends are in the audience and they're cheering you on, and that feels so good. And because you feel that way about it, it helps you want to achieve it more. So actually picturing yourself doing it can help instill some motivation in yourself to work harder to achieve it. All right, well, I really hope that you've enjoyed this lesson today on goals, and I hope you tune in for future lessons as well. Be well, be safe, and I'll be seeing you soon.